Yes.
So,
Yes.
Doctor Strange is
Hello.
back
He is indeed. Yeah.
to save the world,
Or
something.
some part of existence. Yeah. Some parts of the multiverse.
Yeah, that's a lot of secrecy. But are you allowed to say anything about the plot?
Because there's a lot of secrecy, probably not. You can try me.
Okay. So, I guess this is not your solo movie. There's lots of other heroes.
There are a few other people.
Can you talk Can you talk about some of their interactions? Who does Doctor Strange meet and team up with?
I was always excited about the idea of working with Robert Downey Jr., let alone them being cast as Strange, and thinking, I wonder if the two goatees could clash and see what happens in that room, crowded room of egos and narcissism, and it's pretty cool. I got to do that, and look, Strange in a way is a little bit more reconstituted than he is in the comics. His sort of ego and bad attitude continues quite unchecked in the originals, but we've righted that a little bit in the MCU, I guess, a little bit more, to a point where he's not invulnerable and to idiocy or the attributes I've just described. He's not perfect by any means, but he's got to a point where when it push comes to shove, he will probably be the grown-up in the room rather than the adolescent, petulant man, very witty that we saw in the first film. But there'll still be a few barbed comments and one-liners, some zingers, as they call them.
What happened in the time between Doctor Strange and Infinity War? I mean, how much time has
stocked up the fridge. We did a bit of decorating while I did some clothes shopping. We caught a couple of shows. We went to see Hamilton, which was very good. We rode the subway a bit and sort of we were trying to test if anyone spotted us, but they didn't. So we're fine. We're still incognito. What else did we do? We went to Central Park. We had a sort of a nice afternoon in Central Park, and I do some things on my own, but there's no romantic interest in my life at the moment. So just kind of kicking about, watching movies at home, DVDs in the sanctum. Got some screeners. Don't know why I'm not voting as Doctor Strange, but I got some screeners anyway. Someone posted them to me by accident. Maybe it's the wrong address.
So you've been busy.
Yeah, I've been busy watching movies and walking,
and
shopping in New York, having coffee, just chilling out.
But it's not another secret that we have a big bad guy named Thanos.
Yeah, the big bum grape.
Yes.
Here he comes. Angry purple hemorrhoid.
What can you say about him?
Well, he's an angry purple hemorrhoid. He's played rather brilliantly by Josh. He's sort of cold, meticulously logical and ruthless in his logic. And he's a sociopath. He's just got this answer to a problem, which is lack of sustainability in the universe. But his solution is barbarically idiotic, and it's genocide. It's not a solution. So that's pretty awful. So he has to be stopped.
And it seems superhero movies are getting bigger than ever and more popular than ever.
Well, the second part of that is important because usually the bigger than ever follows the question: when's it all going to crash? When's it all going to stop? Listen, it's a genre that will survive as long as it stays good. We've had some sort of groundbreaking moments with female-led superheroes, with black-led superheroes, and that inclusivity, that diversity, that about-timeness is great, but they stand alone as good films as well, and we can't forget that. Not as many people have seen Black Panther if it was just a protest movie. It's a great movie, and it's people at the top of their game at every level in the film. The really complex, gripping plot that's emotional and funny and full of spectacular beauty and some really, really top-notch acting. So I don't know. It's not. I think it's about quality. And these films are always big, but who's to say who's going to be left after all this carnage? You don't know. So this might be a bit of house cleaning. You never know.
But it sounds like it's not just entertainment.
Popular culture always takes on the zeitgeist, whether it's a hero needed in World War II or the Cold War, or Captain America in World War II, and all sorts of them coming out of the Cold War, and then comic writers in the 70s turning to the occult. For me, for my character with Doctor Strange, when he appeared, it was very much when Eastern philosophy was meeting Western logic and that kind of crossover. So I think there's always, it filters in, it seeps in, and rightfully so with the MCU. As much as the comics they're based on, we try to make them big, spectacular, funny, moving, tentpole, blockbusting entertainers. But there's got to be something empathetically relatable beyond just the characters, but also the situations of those characters that's of our world. And then the jeopardy gets a bit more interesting, because the visual effects are great, but it's a who cares video game at the end of the day unless you have some investment in the characters and their world. So by necessity they take on characteristics of our time. So that's pretty cool. I think Marvel really get the balance right. I've always been a fan of their stuff, way before I should say, time, it gets confusing, way before I was ever considered for Strange. I was a fan of the films. So here we are 10 years later.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.